All right. What's going on, everyone? Hope you guys are having a great end of the week. It's the last quarter of the week. It's called last quarter. I want to come here and just remind you guys are in an amazing mastermind right in here. The mastermind is called REIpreneurs. And just tell all the other REIpreneurs, entrepreneurs that in the real estate investing space about this mastermind because we will be making this calendar even better. Right now, it's only one time a week where we're having objection challenge, and we'll be adding more as we go. So, for example, every Thursday at this time, we will have amazing Jesse literally showing up here, and we're gonna cover objection handling. We're gonna cover an objection challenge. We're gonna do objections. We're gonna do everything sales, and we're gonna crush it together, right? And we will have guests. We'll have continuously have more guests that are experts in different fields. From all the way from operations, marketing, sales, scaling, different tactics, different methods of doing different things, hiring, all of that stuff. And that's why Objections Challenge today is becoming this workshop that we want to do for you guys. So as you guys are joining, just want to let you guys know that if you're in this mastermind, this recording will only be available for those that earn points to actually get the recording of the mastermind. So remember, in order to earn the points, you guys have to interact and engage with others, right? So today we call it Eliminate Seller Objections Forever. And I think it's a sweet name to put it there because we have two experts in the game. One is Ian from Sales Disruptors, from the Real Estate Disruptors community, and the other one is Jesse Bush, who is being a client with us for years now. He has his own real estate investing wholesaling company, and he does it in the East Coast. And he has been in the sales game for over 20 years, guys, like literally crushing it in sales. So I think that it will be great to just give them a round of applause and welcome for being here. Thank you again. Every 2 weeks, you guys are coming to crush it. You guys are amazing for that and helping us add a lot of value to this community of REI entrepreneurs. Thank you, Ian, for coming here and being here. What's up, Jesse?
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Uh, maybe you're doing better. Look, you're looking so sharp and ready to crush it in this workshop. Jesse's the first
Thank
time
you. I'll take it.
the first time I see Jesse like showing off those guns. So
I'll move closer to the camera. There's nothing to see.
all right.
It's just 100 degrees outside.
Oh, that makes sense. Oh, summer.
Yeah. First day of summer.
Yes. All right. Awesome. So we'll be having more people joining. More people will join. But I want to remind everyone that you guys are here to learn the art of sales, right? And what's the hardest part about sales? Obviously, like getting someone to buy from you, right? Or getting someone to give you the house or sell you the house, because there's so many obstacles that go through the journey of them trusting you, truly understanding what it takes, and all the different things that you got to overcome during the conversations that you have with sellers, motivated sellers, people that want to sell a house. So that's why we have Objection Challenge Day, right? A lot of people, a lot of you truly have a hard time sometimes at overcoming objections, but the best way to do it is eliminating, like literally just killing every single objection possible before it actually happens, right? And that's why this workshop will be really good with Ian and Jesse leading it. Jesse, FYI, Ian sent me a message today saying that he was going to do something freaking special. So I'm really excited, you know? Let's go, Ian. It's all yours.
Sure.
Hey, Jesse.
Cool. Am I able to share my screen?
Yes, you are.
Beautiful. All right. So you guys see it's just a blank document here?
Yes, sir.
Sounds good. All right. So we're gonna do something different. First thing I'm gonna do also is make sure I give you guys this link so you guys can follow along if you'd like. Where on earth is the chat? On Zoom. Let's just get a different monitor. Hang on a second. Let me make sure I can share this. Where did the chat go? No, I can't see it now that I'm sharing. Oh, here it is. It's up here. Okay. So I'm putting in the chat. You should probably be able to see this if you'd like to be able to follow along and save it if you want. So let me know if you just came through to the chat. I'm going to make a document here where the whole goal of this is to make sure you can ask the most effective possible questions to move the sale along in a way where you never even have to deal with objections the way you're used to dealing with them. So I call this, we'll put it in bold even, how to ask amazing questions. Is that large enough for you guys to see? For those of you in the car, on the phone, can you read that? Is that visible? Cool. So it's gonna get smaller than that for the regular typing. So I'll just put it down to 12. So first, the way to think about this is, even though obviously this is, the REI-preneurs, when you are having a conversation with a motivated seller in some way, shape, or form, is it fair to say that that's a sales conversation? Right? Even though we're trying to talk to them, we're not theoretically selling them anything. We're trying to convince them to sell us. The principles of that are very much the same. Because whether or not I'm selling someone life insurance, I'm selling someone solar, I'm selling a high ticket consulting thing, or I'm selling someone into a community, or I'm buying their house, the way I ask questions is to make sure I never have to deal with objections the way you guys think of objections. So that's what I'm going to create for you here. So sales training for REI-preneurs. Okay. All right. So let's start with this. We don't need this bold. What is sales resistance? Who wants to take a shot at the definition of sales resistance? And by the way, I want this to be interactive. I know it seems very, very much like I'm in some sort of professor mode as I'm typing up a document. The whole nature of this is to be interactive. So if you have a thought, just go. I have a second monitor, but so I might not see you raise your hand. Feel free to just come off mute. I'll just call on you. So who just wants to just describe in their words what sales resistance is?
I say hesitancy on hesitancy or on just moving forward, or just not wanting to go into a specific topic. Or
yeah, there's a bunch of ways we could define it, right? Because there's realistically, it's some type of roadblock to moving forward through our process. So that can be as simple as asking what someone's budget is if I were selling them something, or if buying their home, what they want for their home, and them not willing to engage with it, right? That's kind of an obstacle. Or it can be as deadly as I need to think about it at the end, right? It's something that's deflection away from our process. They're not willing to sort of play ball, is how I like to describe it. They don't want to engage with what we need to ask and what we need to learn. So more important, in my opinion, than theoretically what it is where does it come from? So this is where the way I ask questions really matters. So sales resistance comes from feeling pushed, ignored, or misunderstood. This is now, to be clear, this is under the assumption that the person you were talking to is ideally a match for you anyway. So if you're having terrible issues with your data and you're calling someone who's extremely high equity and isn't motivated in any way, shape, or form, this isn't aligned because they were never a customer for you, or a client, or theoretically just a prospect. That's a data issue rather than a sales issue. Assuming that your data is aligned enough to justify your time and being worthy of a conversation, the resistance to moving through your process comes from feeling pushed, ignored, or misunderstood. And in that same idea, the resistance of not letting me move through my process, theoretically, resistance is all that stands in the way of selling ice to Eskimos, right? It's a silly idea. Note, I always have to put this here before I go into some of these things. Do you actually sell ice to Eskimos? You are not a salesperson or investor. You're a con man. Okay. So convincing someone to buy something, buy/sell, because obviously we're trying to get them to sell, so they're probably sell something that they, or I'll say buy something or sell an asset to be specific, that they don't want, need, and doesn't benefit them in some way is for criminals. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. We're going to do this through the guise of that we have the people we're talking to, we have their best interests at heart. How many times, Jesse, have you talked to someone who you knew from their circumstance that you would be providing an unbelievable value, but either just because you're early on in your career, some limiting belief they had, some outside influence in their life, they were unwilling or unable to sort of play ball with you in a way where you couldn't buy their home, even though you knew this would have helped them?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Plenty of times. It was
All the
like,
time.
it always felt like it was a skepticism. Like they understood what I was saying, but they weren't buying what I was selling, so to speak. They didn't believe in me. They didn't believe in me because I didn't understand the process enough.
They had a complete lack of certainty in you that this would solve their problem, even though you knew it to be the case.
Yep.
So my point being, if we know and we can have certainty that what we are selling or providing is of benefit to them, it is our responsibility as professionals to do our very best to do everything in our power to convince them, so to speak, to move forward with us, if we're actually selling a benefit. So why do we want to focus on questions? Why questions? Why not descriptions? Why not, this is what homes nearby are doing. Let's look at the comps. Let's break down the costs of repairs. Why do we want to focus on this? So put these at 14. Okay. So why focus on questions? If you ask the right question, you can control what your prospect says. This is really key. Has anyone heard the expression before? He who asks the questions controls the conversation. Right? It's the idea of, because what they answer, what they respond, is dictated by the question I ask. So if I say, how are you feeling today? When I started, I said, how you doing, Esteban? He didn't answer purple monkey because I didn't say, what's your favorite color and what's your favorite animal, right? That the name of the other. I can dictate what they say by the question I ask. So if you ask the right question, you can control what they say. And here's the real key point. If you can control what the prospect / homeowner says, you control their reality. If I can dictate what you were going to say to me, I can figure out how to dictate your reality. This is a really, really key sort of complex point, but I'm going to break it down here as we go ahead. So, and it will make sense, I promise. If you can control their reality, you can make them feel like it was their idea for you to solve their problem. If it is, italics again, their idea to have their problem solved by you, they will, put this in bold, not feel pushed, ignored, or misunderstood. Is there everyone with me so far on this concept? Okay. So how do we do this? Like it sounds really great in theory, but like, what does this actually look like in practice? As to the questions themselves, I want you to understand this fundamental concept. Okay. We are paving a path through our curiosity. We're paving a path. The path is towards the inevitable conclusion, which is choosing to sell their home to us. And we do that by being curious and that coming out through our questions. As we seek to understand their situation, we help them, put in italics again, them reveal the reasons they decide to do this. If it's my idea, it's never going to be as powerful and as meaningful to them if it felt like it was their idea. And so everything I ask, everything I do is geared toward a very specific type of answer to get them to feel internally like they thought of trying to do this rather than me telling them. Our fundamental concept and principle here is that they are Luke Skywalker. We are just Yoda. We're the guide. This is their journey. When you start talking about how great you are, how great your cash is, our company, we're rated by the Better Business Bureau. Look up my reviews on Google Reviews. I'm amazing. What they hear is, look how great I am. I'd like to thank the Academy. They hear garbage. They hear egotism. They don't hear this is about them. As soon as you're talking about you, they're tuning out. Everything should be focused on solving their problem and solving their issues. So before I get any further, any questions about this? Because these are sort of advanced concepts, but I wanted to go deep. Does anyone have any questions so far?
You're crushing it. Does anyone have a question? You can also put it in the chat regarding this.
Yeah, if you don't want to call me, if you just have a question that comes up, just please put it in the chat. Esteban, could you monitor the chat and let me know?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So this is a huge, really, really important concept. And also, what's clear, what I want to build as I do this is real rapport. This is something I build over time. So sidetrack, real rapport is not whether they like you or not. That's real rapport equals trust. I know plenty of people in my life who I like quite a bit, but I don't want them seeing the digits on my Amex card. I can think of family members, uncles, cousins, like I'll hang out with you at a barbecue, but I don't want to do business with you. Trust is trusting that you can solve their problem. I had a surgeon when I had shoulder surgery. I didn't particularly like the man very much. We weren't going and having barbecue and hot dogs afterwards, but I trusted his expertise. When someone's having to do the very difficult task of deciding to part with their asset, they want to trust that you are going to solve their problem. It's fine if they like you, but it is not what we want to be in pursuit of. Best case scenario, it's fine. It's fine. It's great to have them like you. It's not a detriment. Worst case scenario is you're wasting time building up the wrong type of authority, building up friendliness. I like the same sports team. I'm from the same area. I want you thinking I'm just like, don't worry, I like this guy. But then liking me doesn't mean they trust me to do business. Because theoretically, they probably know someone who they've grown up with or went to school with or in their family who is a realtor who they like more than you in the hour you talk to them. But if they bring them up, everything I do is about building up the doubt that they will be able to get this done at a rate that will make sense for them if they're in any type of distressed or motivated situation, right? So I want to lean on that. So it makes no sense for me to be focusing on them liking me. It's a side effect if they do, but it's not my aim. My aim is for them to trust me. So the big struggle for many of us, and Jesse talked on this earlier, is that there's a lack of certainty at the start of the process, right? Or just like how to run through that process. So you build trust, real trust, incrementally over the consultation through how good your questions are. Do this, there we go. And what you repeat back to them. What I heard you say, what I'm hearing about your situation. Tell me more about that, right? So to the actual questions, let's get really tactical here. I have not seen this covered by anyone else. So this is truly a unique thing. I've done this document before a little bit for our community in a sort of capacity. I've expanded out since then. And other than that, I've done it for members of Collective Genius, for people who are paying $30,000 a year. So this is what you guys are getting access to right now. I use or questions a lot. So let me talk about that. Is this something you wanted to do soon, or is there something I'm missing? This is an or question. Is this something you wanted to do soon, or is there something I'm missing? right? What I'm asking theoretically is actually, do you want to move forward? But do you want to move forward? Or what can I do to get you in a car today? What can I do to get you in this BMW today? Equals pushy. People know that sensation. It's a yes, no type of answer. And when I'm pushing someone towards a closed off answer for one of my questions, which is either a yes or a no, I might get a no, which doesn't advance me forward, or I might get a yes. The problem is yes and no are the two easiest things to lie to, right? Do I look fat in this? No, you look great. Well, do I look good in this? Yeah, you look amazing. We all know the idea of lying to yes or no. It's what people lie to all the time. Don't make it easy for them to lie to you. So, or questions are so powerful that sometimes, depending on what I need to do, I can even go, is this something you wanted to do soon? And just do that. I have done that. So, Esteban, is this something you wanted to do soon? Or, and you can even see it. You feel the need to want to fill that silence. So what is happening here? This is a very specific thing because these are two different questions in a way. This is a type of stacking questions, but stacking questions is really risky if done wrong. Stacking questions needs to be done precisely. So I'll give you an example here. Incorrectly stacked questions. And you might be doing it's okay. Look for this if you're doing something like this by accident. And it's often not as extreme as the example I'm going to give, but you might be doing this in some way, shape, or form. Do you know where you want to move to? Are you looking for another house, apartment, live with family? Did you have a job lined up at the new city? Or were you maybe just thinking of not selling the place and renting it out? Right? What question are they supposed to answer? This is an incorrectly stacked question. And we do this often by accident because we're nervous. We're talking on the phone with someone. Maybe this is a great deal. A lot of money's on the line. And so might go, so, I mean, have you thought we wanted to move to, or were you looking for another house, like apartment? Did you have a job lined up, or, were you actually thinking, maybe not even selling this place? Were you going to rent it out? What are you doing? It's babble. And that's an extreme example. But if you even say, did you know where you want to move to? Or are you looking for another apartment, or maybe just a house? What are they supposed to answer? You're making it harder on their brain for them to answer that. But a correctly stacked question is incredibly powerful. So would you mind telling me a little bit more about that? What are the hesitations there? So, Jesse, would you mind telling me a little more about that? What are the hesitations there? This comes to a really key point, which is, I'm going to bold this. This is the key to the OR question, to stacking correctly. There are 3 levels of questions. Okay, this is super high level stuff. It's easy, tough, and just direct. Direct is, might be a more exacting question, but it's not hard for them to answer, though they might feel like, well, that's a little personal. Tough is tough for them to answer. So when you're combining questions, or it's really combining, I spelled that wrong, right? Combine, there we go, / stacking questions via OR should always be done with different levels, never the same level. So I've heard this asked literally on a call just last week from someone I was training. So is the roof like 10 or 15 years old? Those are 2 easy questions. That's not a good use of an OR question. You're burning the OR question. There's no reason to do that. Like, what's the point of that? That's you showing a sort of lack of authority. You're wasting breath on that idea. But this question here, I mean, this could just be an OR. Or what are the hesitations there, right? It's just so good that it's not required. I can just have a B. So let's talk about that. So how have you been trying to make those changes? That's something I've asked before. Or what's been holding you back from making a real attempt? I've asked this question many times. My name on Instagram is Vivid Selling. This is a question of the Vivid Selling framework of getting someone to decide to take action. These are two different questions, right? So how have you been trying to make those? Well, here, let's talk about it, right? How have you been trying to make those changes? That's a direct question. So like, how have you been trying to do it? Well, I've been trying to call someone and I've talked to my realtor friend. What's been holding you back from making a real attempt is a tough question. Because if I asked it on its own, it could be like, whoa, that's like, nothing's holding me back, right? It runs the risk of offending them. But by blending these questions together, I'm doing something very specific, which is what I am doing and why I ask OR questions anyway, is this fundamental principle. When I say we are paving a path forward with our curiosity, I'm planting 2 posts in the ground, okay? This question or this question. What happens is that the person answering me will never feel like they were forced to give a certain type of answer. They will not feel pushed. It's impossible because they have no idea that I'm forcing their direction. But by placing 2 posts, they stay within these guidelines. Now, one or question like that is not enough, but stacked multiple times throughout the course of the conversation, combined with other techniques. This is really only one half of the yin and yang kind of thing. Combined with other techniques, makes it feel like, oh, I got all this room to move around. I'm not feeling pushed. This guy's seeking more information about me. He's trying to understand me and my situation more, but they feel stacked forward. They have all this room to move around, but the inevitable conclusion is towards what I want it to be. So how have you been trying to make those changes is a fine question. But say I want to really include what's been holding you back from making a real attempt in case, because we're getting closer, it's getting emotional. So Esteban, I know you've been trying to get this done. You've been trying to move out of this home, but like you said, it's been hard for a while. How have you been trying to actually sell the property or like work out with the bank or what's been holding you back from making a real attempt? I kind of, by having more emphasis on that first part of the question, I almost like disguised how brutal the idea is of what's been holding you back from making a real attempt. That question on its own would be enough to make someone break down and cry in a therapist's office sometimes, right? But I get to bury more intense questions with other things. So what am I looking for when I'm asking this? Like, what am I looking for? What am I looking for in their answers? I am looking for one specific idea. I am looking for motivation. That's what I'm trying to find. I'm trying to make sure they articulate the reasons they would want to work with me. And I'm gathering them and assembling them as tools to be laid out on my workbench. And when it's time to finally go into price and talk about the close, I then have all the tools that I was able to extract regarding their pain, their situation, their motivation, where they're hoping to go, how nice it's going to be moving to Florida to live near Esteban, right? I get to ask all the questions that they have then answered to give me all the tools so I can lay them all back out. But I only have at the close the tools of which they've already verbalized. If I say it, if I tell them, it's salespeople talk. If they say it, it's gospel. This is the underlying principle of why I want to get them verbalizing the reasons they want to move forward with me. Why do I ask, why would you ever sell your home to an investor like me? Because I'm wanting them to defend the motivation for why they would want to move forward with me. But I say, is there a reason you would want to sell your home for a cash offer rather than just going with a realtor? Because if they tell me their reasons, those reasons matter. If I tell them, you don't want to go with a realtor. Realtor's going to waste your time. It's still in the market for 6 months. You're not going to be able to get it done. And they just put a sign in your yard and then you won't get a hold of them. What are you going to do then? They think one thing almost every time. Yeah, that's fine, but I'll figure it out. I'll be okay. They think that because you said it. But if they said it, it's reality. So motivation can best be described can just be described as in terms of pain or gain. That's all. That's usually it's some aspect of gain or it's some type of pain. that they're trying to avoid or would like to avoid. A motivated homeowner probably has more pain than gain if it makes sense to buy their property at a discount. And pain is more powerful to drive a decision than gain. Loss aversion is a more powerful emotion than gain. In fact, the best salespeople know that if I'm trying to sell something that's entirely gain oriented, before asking you to make a decision, I take the gain away. We go gain to pain to pen. That's what we do. So if I was, Esteban, what's your dream car? I'm sure you have a dream car. You live in Miami. There's no way you don't have a dream car.
Bugatti.
Sure. So I figured it would. I feel like I could have flipped the coin. It probably would have been a Bugatti. So if you were to imagine, like, let's say you made enough money, you can fly that Bugatti around with you. So that when you go back home, you can pull up to like a high school reunion in that Bugatti, and you've got armed security, so you're safe, or whatever. And you pull up, and people see you, or it doesn't have to be high school reunion. Anywhere where you step out, where people doubted you and people knew you when you were younger, and they get to see you pull up in the Bugatti. How are you feeling now as you step out of the Bugatti, close the wing door behind you, and people's heads turn and see you? How are you feeling in that moment?
Like the most elite boss.
Yeah. Yeah. Do they feel like the people who doubted you, like, man, like just see the look on their face that you've got like a $1.2 million car or something? Like, look at you now. Right? If I can get you to visibly feel that sensation, and then I go, compared to that, how would you feel if you just arrived in the car you have right now? If we can get you that car so you can have that sensation, is this something we should do soon? Or is there something I'm missing? That's a more powerful way to get someone to take action. Most salespeople make the mistake of staying in that game when asking for the action. That is a mistake. It's not as powerful as loss aversion to get motivation right now. Jesse was talking about someone saying, like, I see the value in what you're doing because someone's talking about all the ways we can get this done. It's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. But the value is not the same as urgency. Pain drives urgency. Fear of loss drives urgency. Gain to pain to pen. This is the trajectory to getting someone to decide to sell their home to you for 50 cents, if not less, on the dollar. Gain to pain to pen. So if motivation can be described in pain or gain, I'm trying to develop a really powerful closing question with variables in it that allow me to get this done. So what did that look like? Closing question. It's my favorite closing question of all time. Just appeared on a undercover closers podcast and gave them this closing question. They loved it. If we can take care of X, Y, and Z, do you feel like that would be helpful? So let's talk about these variables. X could be something simple, get you out of here in under 30 days. Y, you don't have to worry about your wife falling on the stairs and all the consequences of that. And Z, and this is a hands-off experience like you said you're looking for, where you're just picking up a check and moving on with your life. Right? This is these are the variables. These have to be things I've gathered through my questioning that I want to get to. And then, so if I can go, Esteban, if we can get you out of here in under 30 days, you don't have to worry about your wife falling on the stairs and all the consequences of that. And this is a hands-off experience that you said you're looking for, where you're just picking up a check and moving on with your life. Do you feel like that would be helpful? And then once they say, yeah, that would be really helpful. Once they verbalize that in some way, I say, this next line, I have kind of an uncomfortable question. Okay, I have kind of an uncomfortable question, Esteban. Do you want my help? How much more powerful is that to guide motivation than, would you accept $222,000? Is this hitting home? This is the point. Like, this is the power of asking questions. that I can extract as much pain and motivation as I need without them ever feeling like I'm forcing them down a certain line, right? Because if I say, it's the idea, if I ask yes or no questions, like if you see certain sales trainers on Instagram who wear really tight clothes that are a little bit too small, they're big muscle freaks who make people take their shirt off to show six pack, they end everything with, am I correct? Am I right? Wouldn't you agree? Yes or no? That's garbage. It's BS. That's the enemy of a good sales conversation, because no doesn't help me and yes could be a lie. If I am open-ended, it feels like this is something you want to do soon, right? Or maybe there's something I'm missing. Is this something that you had in mind, like you said, to do sooner rather than later, or is there just something else that's maybe holding you back that I'm even haven't done a good job asking questions about? If I'm doing stuff like that, it's the equivalent of putting my thumb on the scale a little bit when I'm trying to guide them forward. It's a superpower, and they have no idea over and over and over again that I'm guiding them towards giving me all the pain and motivation I need to be able to close this. Who has questions? This is the one half of the yin and yang. I call this idea like guided persuasion. The other half we can show you with a role play. The other half is recapping back what they had said to me. And as I ask questions, I then recap. So like most people ask like 10 questions in a row and then one really long recap at the end. I don't do that. I am constantly burying my recap in my questions. I go question, question, recap, question, recap, question, recap, question, recap, question, question, recap. Like it's always a back and forth. And I'm doing a really powerful thing when I'm recapping, which is burying additional aspects of motivation within the recap. That's getting them to say, that's right, that I can then extract out later. So I can talk about that in a second, but first let me check the chat. It's just 30K value. So, all right. Who has questions? Let's make use of this time.
Can I ask a question?
Shoot.
I mean, what if the person's motivation is not so much of pain, but more like he wants to save money on, instead of paying a realtor?
Why would he want to save money instead of paying a realtor?
I mean, he wants, instead of paying a realtor, he says, I'll make it a little more convenient, obviously, but his goal is to save money. You could see that, right? At least that's what I got from him.
I don't doubt that that's what he told you, but there's underlying motivation for things. So here, look, what's your name? Because I just see iPhone 2.
Sam.
Would you be willing to role play with me for a second so I can
Sure.
demonstrate this in action? Okay. So just be that guy, be open to the conversation, but just start as you imagine him having this conversation and just engage with me as I go through this.
Sure.
So, Sam, help me understand what is it that makes you want to have a conversation with an investor like me rather than just going with a realtor?
So I'll be honest, I was thinking about it. If I list with a realtor, I'll be paying 6%, so that's gonna be like whatever. Let's say in the scenario, it'll be like $20,000 or so. I'll be willing to take even 10K less than that, just to not to go through the hassle. But so that's why I gave you guys a call to see if you guys will be interested in buying.
Okay. So other than the pure commission focus, there's no reason you would ever have any reason for a convenience for a cash offer, I'm guessing.
No, not really. I don't. No, I'm. I, mean,
Okay.
I'm selling the house now. I'm either gonna list with a realtor if I don't get a cash offer, but I figured if I could take off the commission, and you guys would be interested, I'll even take off another 10K or so. Would you
Or
guys be
so?
interested? Yeah, 10, 15K, but I'm not interested in any lowball offers.
Okay. Last thing I want to do is give you a lowball offer, but help me understand where the idea of the 10, 15K would be coming from.
Because I get it. Once I list with a realtor, there's always going to be obviously, home buyers going to come and they're going to make me an offer, and there's going to be some inspections. I get it. So I'll take off 10K for that.
Okay. I'm a little lost. And the reason I'm lost is because why couldn't you just 6% doesn't have to be default. Why don't you just get a realtor and negotiate a smaller percentage? That way you can make more money. There'd be no reason to sell to someone like me.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I'll be willing to even do that, entertain, even at say at best 6%. You know,
I'm confused. Where would be the deal in that for us? This doesn't make any sense to me.
Well,
Is the only thing you want to save on the percentage of the realtor? There's no other reason saving on the convenience factor be important to you?
well, obviously, it is a little more convenient for sure, but not.
And
I don't want to. I don't want to sell it. You know, I don't want to lose money too much for that
of
convenience.
course, of course. So why would the convenience be important to you?
What do you mean by that? Why is convenience important? Why wouldn't it be? It's convenient.
Well, because
Some people pay.
well, some
People
people.
pay for convenience. I'll pay for convenience. I know. I know I could probably get more by selling with a realtor, but I'm willing to settle for that convenience.
Okay, the reason I asked that, to be clear, is because typically when people are doing a cash offer, they think about a lot more than just the 6%. And so that's maybe my fault for not making that clearer. They're looking for the aspect of if there's furniture they don't want to have to move out or take with them, they can leave that behind. Speeding up the process could be a benefit to them for a bunch of other reasons in terms of the convenience factor there. Maybe they know, maybe they got some mold somewhere or they're afraid of it. And then that way skipping the inspection saves them that whole hassle, in addition to just not having to pay closing costs and going through the whole headache. So 10, 15,000 below 6% is not usually the amount that people take off to go with a cash offer. So there could be another way we could get this done if you're open to hearing it, but a cash offer, it would be so much lower. The last thing I want to do is insult you.
So, what are you thinking then? How much would you
Well, I'm
need?
not sure. I'm not sure. It depends. I'm not entirely sure I'm going to even be able to buy this home right now because I'm not hearing any reason you should sell to me instead of just going to a realtor, unless you can think of something.
I'm just trying to see what you guys would offer.
Yeah, the big thing is this is a big misconception. We're not in the business of making offers. That's not what we do. We're in the business of buying homes. The reason we're trying to have this conversation is I want to see if I can buy your home. I'm not sure if I can yet. Can you think of any reason it would make sense for us to work together? Any reason the benefit of getting cash quickly, not having to go through that inspection would you be worth more than maybe $15,000?
You know, if you put it that way, I guess. I mean, my house is in decent shape. It's not like it's not falling apart or anything like that. I'm not one of those distressed guys. I just kind
We
of
don't
was.
buy those. I'll be honest. The last thing I want to do is buy a house where it's got foundation issues or fire damage. That's not our specialty. You're my favorite person to talk to because you don't have a bunch of issues with the home that we can't figure out. But I want to make sure it makes sense for us too.
No, I understand. So, what would make sense for you then?
I'm not sure. I mean, other than sort of 10 to 15,000, had you thought about what you would really actually need to walk away with for the home? Because I'm assuming there's still kind of a mortgage on it.
I do have a mortgage. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's been appraised for 400,000. So I figured, you know, I'll be willing to do some sort of discount, but something fair. I was thinking like, I don't know, maybe like 375, 365.
I'm confused. I thought, what was the 6%? Where's the 10, 15,000? I'm totally lost here. What's left on the mortgage?
What's left on the mortgage is about 150.
Okay. So assuming obviously we have to cover that 150,000, how much do you actually want to walk away with after that? How much are you wanting hitting your bank account?
So I'm looking to get at least like 215.
Okay. Do you mind if I ask how you got 215 from?
Because I'm looking to get like at least 365.
Okay. At least 365. So if I'm even a penny less, it doesn't even make sense for us to keep talking.
I'm willing to hear what you got. But again, I'm not taking no low, nothing. I'm not doing no 50 cents on a dollar or none of that. It's
I'm
to
not
throw
trying to
you
pay
with.
50 cents on the dollar. The last thing I don't want to waste your time or waste my time, but I haven't heard any reason where it makes sense for me to buy your home.
Mhm.
So let's stop the role play here. Part of the reason I'm doing this
Okay.
I'm pushing and pulling away because I'm not hearing any reason to buy your home. I'm hearing no pain or motivation. 94% of homes that sell in the United States of America sell on the MLS with an agent. That means we're competing for 6%. So there's other ways. Once I get any motivation, I can extract out other ways to do the deal, other things I can offer, novations, installments. So there's all creative options. There's many ways I can take this, but I don't like to waste my time with people who have no reason to have a conversation with me. I would rather spend my time on someone who's motivated in some way, shape, or form. And usually when I have this conversation, something starts to reveal because I'm doing a very specific idea, which is like, I visualize my sales process as like trying to get a toddler to walk across the room, right? So it's like, I'm not pushing you, I'm pulling away from you and you have to stumble after me. And if I can't get you to move, I stay there. I stay close because I don't want to be all the way across the room. That's too far for you to move. But then once you start taking a step, then I take another step back. And once you move again, I take another step back until you start to reveal to me why it would make sense for us to have the conversation. Everything I'm hearing right now is going to be such a tight deal. Most of the homes we bought, our average assignment fee in 2021, I think it was $63,000. We made more that year on average than the flippers we assigned the properties to because we didn't orient around what someone wanted for the home. We oriented around what they wanted to walk away with after the mortgage was paid. If I'm competing with Zillow, I'm making $10,000 on a deal. I would rather do fewer deals and make six figures. I want to deal with people who are motivated in some way, shape, or form. Now, if I'm really good at structuring the setup in regards to something with novation or something creative for you to avoid, capital gains tax, now I can insert other ways where this type of person could get this done. But I love buying homes for cash or wholesale costs. I would much rather disqualify someone from being worthy of that type of conversation and have someone open up to me about some type of pain point. And as I stay in it, I'm just trying to embody non-neediness and seeking clarity. So I don't need this deal. Did it sound like I had commission breath at all? Right. A lot of this guy, the person you're talking to, is probably getting calls from other investors, right? So he thinks his home is the prettiest girl at the dance because of people are saying all these numbers. And what if I said to you 3 times, I'm not even sure this is a home I'm going to buy yet. I'm reorienting the conversation. I have this idea. Our process is not let me make an offer on your home. It's I need to coach you on how to buy my money with your house. That's our shift. You have to convince me. There's thousands of homes in the Phoenix area going to pre-foreclosure right now. Why should I spend money on yours? Where am I going to make any money on this? I would never verbalize that to a homeowner, but that's what I am embodying as I ask these questions.
So you don't push for these type of deals. It's more like real distress. You go after.
It doesn't have to be actually distressed properties. So for instance, I like to give, I don't memorize a script because I don't need to. The few things I do memorize are third-party stories or what people have told me for certain instances where they don't play ball. So let's say I ask the question, why would you ever sell the home someone like me instead of going to the real estate agent? And sometimes guys like this, they don't even tell me. They might just go, I might still go with an agent. They might just give me that answer and they don't reveal to me anything. In which case I am prepared with a 1 of 3 things type third-party story. So the people we've worked with in the past, they told us the reason they went with us and wanted the convenience of cash offer is either A, they didn't know any real estate agents they liked or wanting to go through that process, didn't want to pay a commission and have it sit on the market for 6 months and deal with inspections and all that jazz. 2, maybe some work needed to be done on the home. They just didn't have the time, money, or energy to do that work themselves to get an HGTV ready. Or 3, maybe something totally unrelated to the property, some medical expense, something personal where the convenience of a cash offer would be a huge benefit to them, where it had nothing to do with the state the home is in. But I don't know if any of those sound relevant to you. I have that memorized. And what's a really key thing is not, are any of those relevant to you? Because that's a yes or no question. Instead, I trail off and pull away. I don't know if any of those sound relevant to you. Most of the time, they go, yeah, one of them, because I pulled away rather than asking. And if they ever go, no, I go, okay, well, then why are we having this conversation? And then they tell me. But I don't think I've ever bought a home where if they didn't give me something at that point as I'm pulling away. So I'm not necessarily looking for a home falling apart, but I am looking for motivation because I'm trying to buy homes at a steep, steep discount. It's not worth my time for $10,000. That's just not how I want to do business.
Right. I'm with you.
Cool.
Thanks.
So,
There's a
so,
question in the chat.
oh, sure. Let's see the chat. Can we go to the action? I have higher offers. Who said that? I would love to role play that.
The iPhone said it.
Yeah, Siri said it apparently. So Jesse, will you role play that with me then?
Yeah, I'm sure the person's still on here, aren't they? Whoever put the question in the chat, this is your chance to get some great one-on-one coaching. If you're still on here,
I don't
make
see
yourself
iPhone.
known.
I only see iPhone 2, who was Sam. They might have already left.
All right.
I'll role play it.
What was that?
I'll role play it because I'd like to see what you do, see if you do anything different.
Yeah.
Sure. So give me the line that they have there.
Yeah, so I appreciate your offer, but I already have an offer for about $20,000 more. So that I already got the offer for 400,000. I'm just looking to see if anybody's going to offer me more than that.
Oh, so first big thing to bring up. I don't make offers. What's a clear thing? So that's I would never deal with this exact objection because I would learn if there were other people they were talking to before I said a number. I don't start with an offer on the phone. So this is a hard thing for me to deal with because my process prevents me from ever getting this set up. Ways you can prevent objections are having your process set up optimized. Quick example with realtors, if someone's like a buyer's agent, if someone reaches out to you and says, "Can I come see this property? I want to see this property. I want you to come show me." If I, as the buyer's agent, meet the person at that home, there's about a 30% chance if they're not already working with an agent, where they'll work with me. But if they come to the office first, and I talk to them about all the what they're looking for a home, and then from there we drive to that house, there's a 75% chance they will use me as their buyer's agent. You can set up a process to be optimized as well. So you even heard me. I don't make offers. So I might get. I already have an offer, and I would get that earlier on. I have an offer for 400. So if you told me, well, I already have an offer for 400,000, my response would be, oh, great. I guess you already went with them then. They already gave it to you in writing?
Yeah, they gave it to me in writing, but I haven't signed the contract yet.
Oh, okay. Why didn't you sign the contract?
I'm trying to get the most I possibly can. We have a lot of expenses. I don't have a ton of money left over, even with the 400. So just trying to get as much as I can.
Okay. And when you say a lot of expenses, I'm curious about that contract. They probably don't say how much earnest money they're going to leave you on that contract, do they?
Yeah, it said $10.
It said $10?
$10, yeah.
So they were going to lock up and how long was their inspection period? You have that contract right in front of you?
It didn't say anything about an inspection period, but I know we close in 30 days.
Okay. So they're going to say they're holding on to your property for $10.
Yeah, is that not right?
I mean, if that's what you feel like your home is worth being on hold for 30 days, I guess there's no risk to you because you just get $10 at the end of the 30 days if they back out for any reason. It sounds like I'm curious. What did you when you talked to this company on the phone? What did they say about the earnest money deposit?
They didn't say much about earnest money. That when I read the contract, it said that they were buying my house for 400 and they were putting $10 earnest money down.
Okay, so what did they say?
They asked me what I wanted for my property. I told them I wasn't sure. And then I ended up telling them I needed at least 400. They said, okay.
Okay. And then they just sent a contract and even set a time to follow up with you, or what's the process there?
They told me I need to sign it by the end of today.
Okay. For $10 to hold onto your property for 30 days.
Yeah.
Does that sound like a good amount to you?
I've never done this before, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's my first time to sell a house.
Right. And I appreciate that. I would hate to see you taken advantage of. The last thing I want to do is badmouth anyone, but the person you're talking to, what else did they tell you about this contract?
Nothing really. They just agreed to a price, sent me an agreement. It's really short. It's like one page. That's about it.
it's a single page where they get to lock up your property for 30 days for $10. Wow.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, I mean, that sounds like a great offer. Maybe you should just go with them.
I like what you're doing. That's not exactly
All I'm doing,
similar to what we're
all
doing.
I'm doing is inserting doubt.
Yeah,
So
creating doubt.
it's just doubt, right? It's just doubt. So I start with it's easier for people to lie answering a question than it is to not correct an incorrect statement or an extreme statement. So I like to go, oh, if you already got someone for an offer, I guess you probably already signed. I don't know why we're talking. No, I haven't signed yet. Like, people can't stand the idea that you think an incorrect thing and they will correct you. And so then I go, oh, okay, I'm curious, why haven't you signed? Well, they gave me, I'm just trying to get the most. That makes sense. And they sent you an actual contract. A lot of times people say they have an offer. They don't have a contract. Most of the time, it's just a verbal anyway. Like, okay, they didn't even send you anything. They just said a number out loud on the phone. So I do that. Or if they have a contract, our average assignment fee is $100, but they don't know that exactly what you're talking about. So it doesn't matter if it's 1,000. I can always.
You just said your average assignment fee is $100. If that's
Sorry, I misspoke.
Your EMD.
Earnest money. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Our average earnest money is $100.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. No, our average assignment, I think, was last year. I'll be honest, we actually just stopped buying houses and are going full into sales training. But I think when we ended was, I think, 30 something. It dropped from the 60 pretty drastically.
That's
but
awesome.
We were trying to do, we like fewer at higher margins. That it's a much easier, because we hate stuff falling out. Like,
we're doing like
we
20,
hate that process.
22 is what we're averaging. But we're averaging a good couple contracts a day right now. So
fantastic. Yeah. My main focus with competitors is I'm not bad mouthing. I'm always asking questions and questions that insert doubt. So they said $10 for the earnest money.
That's the earnest money I put down. That's why I said that.
We put 100. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Their answer is like pretty much the same. And they might go, because even from the tone of voice, they tend to go, that's not good. Like, just by my tone of voice.
Yeah, exactly.
$10 for 30 days. Was there did it say anything about an inspection period?
Got it.
Okay. Right. And it's just like, okay, I guess that sounds like a really good deal. I mean, is that something you're going to move forward with, or does it make sense for us to keep talking?
Yeah, that's good. I like it. I appreciate it.
Sure. We're almost at time. You guys have access to this doc. I'll share the link again just in case someone joined later.
And before you go, guys, obviously I want to remind everyone that the Sales Disruptors community have a insane sales and conversion community where they literally teach this almost daily in a weekly basis. And it's so expensive that it costs $97 a month. So I'm telling you guys, like, this is one of the best things that you would ever find in this type of industry, in this space, which is the Sales Disruptors community. I'm gonna drop a link here to show you guys. Steve Trang and Ian Ross, they're both are crushing it in this, and they want to literally change the entire sales space for the REI space and so on. So here I'm dropping here one of those links. It's again, it's $97 a month, and they do that almost every single day. Ian is leading that, so it's a no-brainer in my opinion. It's a good.
And the thing I talked about here, that truly is a yin and yang. That's only one half of the equation, because that's what I ask. The other part is what I repeat back to them. I got a whole thing on like recapping. So like what I'm looking for when I recap in the question recap, I'm looking for a logical thing about what they said. So just to repeat back something like that, some aspect of how they feel or felt, not will feel. I don't talk about emotions in the present tense because that's too logical. If I'm going to go in the present tense, I move them forward in the question, or I'm looking for some aspect of their identity, because identity is a far more powerful. People pay way more for identity than they do for utility, right? Yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger doesn't pick up his grandkids in a Hummer because he needs a leg room. It's because the movie that's playing in his head about the guy who drives the Hummer. People pay more for identity. So the way I recap is things like, I've done this before. I've been like, well, as a father, like, tell me a little bit more about the kitchen and bath. Like, I'll do this. I'm burying this stuff in because they feel more heard and understood as I ask this. And it's one of my problems with explaining like rebuttals to objections with like this back and forth for the way that makes sense for teaching and doing courses like this is the way I actually run a sales conversation. It's a little bit like saying to a hypnotist, how do you get someone to bark like a dog? It's like their answer is, I say, when I snap my fingers, you're now a dog who barks. It's the 45 minutes up to that made that line work.
Yeah.
Right. And so my one rebuttal to a thing, it's like, I can't even just give you the answer. I have to role play to even demonstrate the trajectory because it's a back and forth. I don't need individual lines. I have a framework that so that no matter what is said, I can get the person I'm talking to start to feel an element of an emotion and verbalize things that serve me.
That identity right there was awesome. I appreciate you saying that. That may be the golden nugget of the call today.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
iPhone who was MIA asked a question. He left and then he asked a question. And I think
So what I think of Eric Klein sales. So Eric Klein is a very nice young man. I think he's too focused on explaining, right? Like he's too focused on telling rather than asking for what I've seen.
I would agree with that. It's a very one-sided sales conversation.
Which here's the thing. It's not that can't convert. It's just way more effort than the alternative, right? You have to do this huge dog and pony show and read a 10-page script and be super charismatic and do all this. And to me, that's the definition of suboptimal, because I want to have a setup that not whether I'm in a good mood, whether I'm in a bad mood, whether I'm growing and I want to hire someone to fill in under me, the process works regardless of whether they are a big charismatic showman, right? The people who are like, look at me, here's my 10-page script, that can work, but it relies on an incredible amount of charisma, which leads to the biggest challenge for people in sales roles is burnout. Because when you put on that whole show and you do a 10-page script and it doesn't work, you feel like crap. I never feel like crap because I am constantly trying to disqualify you. I am either right or I buy your home at a discount. That's how I am. I was either right that it didn't make sense for us to, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't sound like this makes sense unless I'm missing something. I am either correct that this doesn't make sense, or you tell me, no, please buy my home for 50 cents on the dollar. That tends to be what happens. And so I do not burn out. Not on this process anyway.
The other benefit, I think, with your methodology that you're talking about, Ian, is, and Eric's a great guy. Like, he just sold his wholesale business. He's crushing it. I don't mean this in a slight to Eric in any way, but with his system, they're trying to go through to be able to generate an offer to the actual seller, and they're presenting the seller with a number. Whereas I think your methodology is more thought out and just an overall softer but easier and more masterable approach, where you're trying to draw that firm price out of the person of what's it going to take to get it done. And like I've heard you say before, if that number doesn't work for you, you don't tell them what your number is. You just resort back to more questions of, wow, 200, that's a big number. What if I couldn't get to that number? How would we proceed? And you continue it with more questioning to get them to self-lower the price.
Exactly. So you've touched on a key point, because the second I give my number, I am a commodity. I now get shopped around. I now got to deal with competition. I now lose deals. I didn't even give the example I gave. You don't have to worry about your wife falling down the stairs and get you out of here in 30 days. I still didn't give my number till we're opening up the contract to go through it based on what they told me they needed. If I'm giving my offer beforehand, you'll notice this sometimes. You're talking to someone, you're having a good relationship. It feels like it's building. And then suddenly you go, okay, we could do this. And they're a different person, right? They sound different. And the reason why is because you're no longer a person, then you were just that number. The number is your value.
How do you handle it? Let's say you are on a great call with somebody and the number you really wanted to be at, let's say, was 170, and they've come down to where they're at 180 and they just aren't really going lower. Do you eventually, in an effort to move the call along, say, look, I'd love to get this deal done, but I think I'd have to be at 170.
I wouldn't say 170 because that would leave them room to say a little bit higher if 170 was actually my cutoff. I would still, if I'm ever going to say a number, it's never actually my highest number because people are used to this idea of feeling like they get a win. So I might be like, I might say something, okay. And we actually bought a home for this exact same way. There was someone who had a contract in the example that Justin was talking about it was $15,000 more. They had the contract there. And for what we were doing, that number, we could not come up. Like we just did not see we'd be buying a home for too much, where it was already too tight. And we just said, we were trying to disqualify. This was Steve Trang, who was in the home. He's like, it sounds like there's absolutely no way we can win your business. It's just like, there's no way we can get this done if we're too low. And she went, well, and told him away and get the home, which was just it ended up being an installment sale. Like by doing a little bit more upfront and taking out of the total amount, we were able to buy it for $22,000 less, not just 15, because we had enough capital to give more upfront that also got equity in the home after running clear title. And they got the 15 or something thousand they needed to get a camper or RV. And then we beat out a deal. So I start introducing like black swans, asking if there's nothing we can do. So black swans are things like, man, another real key is none of our marketing says we cover closing costs. This is a thing that if any of your marketing says you cover closing costs, get rid of it. Everyone's A/B tested. We haven't seen we cover closing costs gets more responses, which means you're giving away your first negotiation giveaway, which is what if we covered the closing costs? So if it doesn't get better responses in the marketing,
why is that so simple but so great? Why have I bought 180 houses and never did that before? Now I don't even like you.
there you go. That's the goal of when you come to one of our events, Justin, is that you leave feeling stupid for not implementing the stuff sooner. So it sounds like you should come to an event because we're
I
gonna start
feel
the process.
stupid and it makes me not like you, and I don't appreciate it.
I don't need you to like me. I just need you to trust me as an authority.
For what it's worth, Justin, I stopped doing it like probably 2 years ago, and I stopped off. I used to pay both sides of the transfer tax, and now it's just, look, we both pay our fair share of closing, just like any other transaction. And the amount, like I was certain in my mind that I was going to get a lot of pushback on it because the previous 5 years had been, we pay all closing costs. We do that. I think I've had one person that like negotiated with me. They were like,
yeah, how do they even know?
Can you cover half of my closing costs? Like, look, I'll kick $1,000 towards it, to try and help you out.
So what I would always do is give it okay, if I can cover $1,000 of it, man, they're not going to like me doing that. But if I could cover $1,000 of it, like, would we be able to get that in writing today? So I make a concession to get another thing back, which is immediacy, urgency.
I'm pissed right now. I'm furious.
We got like 50 other things like that, Justin.
Well,
there's 1,000 little tricks we got. 1,000 little tricks up our sleeve.
Rock and roll. I appreciate that. That's awesome. I'm signing up for $97 pretty soon. Today. So dumb. Great job, dude. I'm cool. So proud. I can't wait to talk to my team and yell at them. Why are y'all paying closing costs?
All right. I think we'll wrap up here.
Thanks, guys.
That was great.
Ian,
take care, everyone.
Ian, I know Esteban said it in the beginning, but do you mind just giving these guys where they can? I know it's on Instagram. You're under Vivid Selling.
Yeah, and then
you also have a podcast that I think these guys should be checking out on YouTube or something. Do you mind sharing all your info?
Yeah. Search the Close More Sales podcast. Close More Sales podcast. I mean, I go in fact, I'll even give you guys a thing that I haven't given anyone else, which is the hack of the three. Because that's why I wrote my Instagram. I don't name the episodes. The media team does for like clickbait stuff. So I don't know what they're going to name it. So I made kind of like a trilogy about asking questions and recapping back. I'll even just send, let's see, what are those? It's youtube.closemoresales. So I'll just send this here. And then the episodes are called, the three to ask are how to make money like a doctor, how to extract pain points, and how to avoid a fake yes. The key are the how to. Those are the three that are like the way I get people talking about pain, the 4 pillars of pain. What is it? How long has it been going on for? How's it affecting you? How's it affecting other people? The one that's still the most popular is how to make money like a doctor. So that's like really tactical things around asking tough questions. So things like, if you don't mind me asking, and I'm curious, and other things like saying, like, I mean, you know more about your area than I do, but that being said, like, is there any way we could get this done? It's like all a bunch of really tactical things to be able to then get permission to ask a tougher question. And then how to avoid a fake yes is the one that just came out 8 days ago now, I think. And that's all about like the recapping aspects of their identity, things about how they feel or felt, why I don't focus in the future tense. Everything's either present or past. And so those 3 episodes will will be about, I don't know, about 2 hours worth of content. If you actually absorb and take notes on that, you will have a leg up over probably anyone else calling the people you're calling.
I love that. Ian, mind if we create like we put those videos, those podcasts in our community and just kind of
I got no problem with that. Sure.
All right, sounds good.
YouTube might have beef with it, but I don't got any reason to complain about that.
Hi guys, thank you for joining here. I think this was great, and please send Ian a follow. Like just follow Ian on Instagram and send him a fire emoji or something, because this was so good. All right.
Cool.
Share his content.
All right.
Take care, everyone.
Share.
Guys.
See ya.
Have a good one. Thank you so much, Ian.
Thank you for joining us.